social engineering doesn't just have to happen through a computer. It can happen face to face or
anywhere, and multiple ways of doing it. It's not just phishing, it's not just getting someone to go to a malicious website, it's not just opening a malicious attachment, it's not all those kind of things. It can be physical, it can be done over the phone, it can be done through text messages. There's different mechanisms, but ultimately the objective is what the attacker will want to understand is what are they trying to do and which mechanism is going to be best for them to achieve that objective, which we will definitely talk about. When you start going into the more sophisticated levels of how I'm going to target an organisation and look at the people in particular, that's when it gets a bit more interesting. So at the lower end, as we talked about, that kind of self-reflecting, that kind of, they have little impact at the kind of lower levels of safety needs, physiological needs and things like that. So maybe extortion, emails and things like this, trying to extort someone or trick someone or bait someone into doing something maybe. What's the HR process look like? Do they have any screening? Does CVs get AV scanned before they come in? No, they don't. Fantastic, I'm applying to all the jobs from all different CVs in the world and hopefully something gets in. Right? There's all these things that, abusing that normal business process to deliver an attack that gets me in as a starting point, and that's all they need as a starting point.
Is there another way that I should be looking at defending against social engineers?
I mean, really it's anyone and everyone in most cases, right? But if we're talking about the things you talked about, privileged access, yes, of course attackers want to get, if you can do a social engineering campaign, you can get a domain admin as part of your campaign. It's like the golden ticket, right? It's great.
From a defender point of view, what would you have expected the service desk to have done?
Not given the information over the phone without confirming that person was actually starting in that role. Most people assume that the social engineering aspect happens just at the beginning of an attack. It can happen throughout the life cycle. And it can happen when an organisation attacker can't quite get deep enough into the network, so they might need to pivot a different way. So if I've managed to compromise a mailbox, for example, I can then use phishing from a trusted source to other people in the organisation to increase my attack and therefore increase my movement within the network.
There's nothing there that you can identify with a spam filter to be able to block?
No, randomly generated numbers as well. Right? So you call the fraudulent centre, then you're then asked to open a malicious document to cancel your service. And then
it's at that point that
the malware gets dropped
the payload is passed down.
We talk about people, process and technology. They need to work in harmony, right? And I think it's quite important to sort of say, if they don't, social engineering will always be a risk. We talked about two-factor, we talked about gamification. I think we'll talk about that in a second actually, because we've got this here. Something I built a while ago that I quite like still, and it's kind of really helps identify that kind of process.
So this is the journey from going from an unaware user to adopting safe behaviours within the workplace.
Thank you very much, we'll see you soon, and thank you for joining us. I've been Stuart Peck.
And I've been Steve Giacardi, thank you, and good afternoon.